Have you ever heard of the brand Driftless Quality Wear? Well, now you're about to. Driftless Quality Wear is an outdoor apparel brand focused on providing quality gear to help you take on the outdoors. So, the Art of Football 365 has decided to partner with Driftless Quality Wear, and now check out their website, www.driftlessqualitywear.com. All of the Art of Football 365 fans are eligible for a 10% off coupon on every product eligible on their website using the code FOOTBALL365. Thank you very much.
All right, welcome back. This is episode 2 of season 2, segment 1. Welcome back to another episode here of season 2 at the Art of Football 365. Now, I have a couple things I want to say to our fans. Gronk spiked that subscribe button for us. Hit the like button as many times as Patty Mahomes has thrown a touchdown this season, which is a lot. So hit that as many times as you can. And then also, leave a comment, just like Troy Aikman does every time Joe Buck doesn't make any sense. So let's dive right in.
That's a lot of times, too.
It is a lot of times. So leave those comments, give us some feedback, and I think you guys will like what we have in store for this week. So in this episode, we want to pretty much discuss on the type of offense that I personally want to run, and it's kind of an offense that I've grown up being around. I actually played within it, and that is the spread offense. Back a couple episodes ago in season 1, we talked a little bit about the nickel program. And that was my program and my idea of developing a fast-paced offense, which is what you need within the spread. So my reasoning behind developing that fast-paced offense using the characteristics that we talked about in season 1 was to get to this idea, which is our first time actually kind of diving into some schematic stuff. Basically, we've been talking a lot about characteristic stuff, and now I want to talk a little bit about scheme. So the spread offense is pretty much an offensive scheme in football that places the quarterback in a shotgun formation, and it spreads out the defense horizontally, which is pretty much using 3, 4, and even 5 receiver sets. And it's used at every level of the game, including the NFL, college, and high school programs all across the nation. And I just happen to be a part of one of those programs that utilize the spread offense because we were able to. Not every team focuses on the spread offense quite a bit, but it is definitely an offense that will catch the defense off balance. And there is many implementations of the spread offense that feature wide splits between the offensive linemen, which allows for easier passing blocks and also bigger running alleys for running backs. The offensive linemen have a different type of role in this offense, whereas it's more laxed when you're not in the spread. If you're in like a wing T or under center, then it's more or less a little different than what it is in the spread. And obviously, I don't want to get into O-lineman take stuff yet because I haven't really studied O-line stuff. I've been focusing on just the basics so far. So the spread offense can pretty much emphasize the pass or the run. It forces the defense to cover the entire field, sideline to sideline. And that's what I like about the game of football with this offense is I want my defense, or I want a defense that's going up against us to be forced to cover the entire field, literally sideline to sideline. Receivers running all different type of route combinations. I'll actually kind of speak on my favorite route combinations are crossing routes. I'm a big fan of setting picks, which you can get called for a penalty more often than not for that. But I like drag routes across the sideline, and then having another guy come on a drag route and maybe running an out route to set that pick. And you can do all that within the spread. That spread offense allows you to spread out your receivers. You can also go empty out of the spread, which is taking your running back out of the backfield and putting him in a slot receiver position. And just you could use him as a decoy. You can use him as a slot receiver, technically. I mean, if he's able to run routes and catch passes, then it can work to your advantage too. I mean, you see that in the NFL with guys sometimes you'll see Aaron Jones go wide with the Packers, and I know Gannon will get into that a little bit later with watching the Packers play and how they've utilized the spread offense. And used it to Rodgers' advantage. But putting a running back in the slot it happens from time to time. I know it happened in my high school every once in a while, but imagine going out there, you're a defense, and you see, say you got a twin set, and you got two receivers on each side, which you got a slot receiver, and then you got an end that's split out. So, and then say the running back gets motioned out, so then it's trips on one side, twins on the other. Imagine a defense looking at that. Like you got to know defensive tactics to be able to stop that, because you are looking at the whole field, literally the entire field. It puts pressure on both sides of the defense. It's literally the back end of the defense has to stay focused on if there's deep routes, they got to learn if they got to play over the top or if they got to play under. The linebackers got to be able to read if it's pass or run, because if they're in a spread set, I mean, more often than not, you think pass is coming, but you can easily run an inside zone out of that. It's a pass-oriented offense, kind of what I want to get into. Like that's what I want to get into, is the pass-oriented type. Just because, I mean, I like run and gun. I think if a team can't stop your running game, I think it's important to keep pounding the rock. Shout out Whitewater for pound the rock. Quinn Marinez, or I'm not 100% how you pronounce that last name yet, but Quinn is balling at the Senior Bowl. I wanted to mention that after I said pound the rock. But offensively, I'm a big fan of slinging the ball around. I happen to have a quarterback in high school who could sling the rock, and I'm talking any receiver, if they were open, he knew where they were at, and he knew where to throw the ball. He wasn't aiming for a target, he was aiming for a spot, and I feel like that's important for a quarterback. So I'm kind of like Gannon, talking a little bit about his opinion on the spread offense, and we'll get into some offensive tactics with it.
Yeah, kind of before I take a little bit of my opinion on this, it was abnormal to see Akron run that offense, because it's more of the wishbone type of offense where you got the two running back sets with the quarterback for the 1A for a lot of the teams that you played, because I know Stockton utilized that to the T, so did EPC, but it gave you guys a little edge on your offense, and it was, I think it's more enjoyable to watch, because obviously, it's more of the trenches type game if you're running the ball with the wishbone formation, but slinging the ball is fun to watch. But
oh, definitely.
It's been an evolution over the last 2-3 years with the Packers since Matt LaFleur's got the job, with some of Sean McVay's coaching stuff that he's implemented as well. And the biggest stat that is helping Aaron Rodgers a lot, and over these last 2 years, is getting the ball out in under 2 to 3 seconds.
Yep.
And that's what RPO is. And it is huge, because Aaron Rodgers is probably the smartest quarterback in the league of being able to read a defense. And it all depends on what the linebackers and safeties are doing. The first play that comes to mind is that if anybody watched the Rams-Packers game, the icing on the cake was the touchdown to Allen Lazard. And I watched some breakdowns of the play, and Aaron Rodgers actually talked about it on the Pat McPhee show. It was a run play the whole time to Aaron Jones there just to waste the clock. And as soon as he saw the safety drop, hesitate and come up to the line of scrimmage for 1 second, Allen Lazard just ran a go route, and boom, it was a touchdown. And this has been an evolution through the NFL over the last 4 to 5 years, is the players type for the quarterbacks are way different. You're not looking for your traditional 6'5" tall quarterback pocket passer. You need somebody who's going to be able to move, who can run the ball, because it's how Josh Allen's been effective. It allows, you were talking about the spread, or how the offensive linemen are spread out more. It gives the quarterbacks who can run any bit of amount of an advantage to run the ball, and I think it's huge. It just keeps the defense on their toes, because every single play, you don't know if the quarterback's taking off of the ball, if the running back's taking off of the ball, or any wide receiver is going to get the ball, and it just keeps the defense on the toes. And the formations for a lot of these plays that you see, if you watch any NFL games, you're going to see a play every game that you're like, what the hell is that formation? I've never seen that in my life.
Exactly.
And I would hate to be a defensive coordinator or defensive position coach trying to scheme against this, because it's almost unfair if you can work it to the T.
Exactly. No. And I agree with everything you just said, especially about Aaron Rodgers. When you bring in a guy like Matt LaFleur to be a head coach, you expect a young, energetic coach who's innovative. And that's what he learned under Sean McVay, and he's utilized that with Rodgers. And you've seen Rodgers have an MVP season this year. If he doesn't get the MVP,
and it's totally different than when he won it was totally different than when he won the MVP in 2010, And one more point before you keep going. It keeps your quarterback healthy because it's the ball in and out of his hands. He's not sitting there for 10, 15 seconds, which he can do, which he's good at, but it also gets the ball. It just keeps the pace of the offense moving. But
you also have to be a good quarterback to be able to get the ball out of your hands, which Rodgers obviously is, but it's not going to work for every quarterback because some quarterbacks like to sit in that pocket and they like to survey the field. But like I said, it doesn't work for everybody. It's got to be implemented fully, and a quarterback has to be willing to learn this type of offense because some quarterbacks love to play action. They love being under center, and they love rolling out and throwing on the run. Like Sean McVay with the Rams, he runs that quite a bit. He loves having Goff under center, and you see all these boots. You see Goff rolling out right, and then you see the crossing routes like I want to implement. You see Cooper Kupp coming across the middle on a drag route, or a tight end that's scatting out from blocking, who is just a block and release. You see him block for 2 seconds and then scat out when Goff rolls, and it leaves those guys open. It's just a quick dump off that could go for anywhere from 3 to 15 yards more than likely. Like, those plays are very effective, quite honestly. But one thing I wanted to get into was more so the type of players that I'd be looking for if I were to implement this type of offense. First off, I want to start with the quarterback. I happen to have, like I mentioned, a pretty good quarterback in high school. His name was Jonah Deemer. Sophomore year, he was throwing interceptions left and right, and he'll laugh about that if he watches this. But junior and senior year, the kid learned so much because he was a film guru. He looked at film day in and day out, and he adapted to the offense that we were running, and he wanted to learn it from day one. So from that sophomore year that he had a down year, junior year, MVP type of season in our conference, the NUIC. Shout out to NUIC, by the way. I hope we get to see them play some games this year. But on that topic, what I mean is he took it upon himself to learn that spread offense, and it led to us being able to run a sideline-to-sideline type of offense where we utilized 4 receivers and a running back who could catch and play the slot too. And we did that with 14 varsity guys. I mean, I went to a school with 100 kids, and we did that and went to – I mean, granted, I played 1A football. I mean, you can knock on that all you want, but at the end of the day, doing that and going to a quarterfinal football game 2 years in a row, I mean, a lot of that falls onto our quarterback for learning this offense and truly adapting to it.
No, you guys maximized what you had because
sure.
You guys had good position players on the outside.
Yeah, and the whole reason I brought up that story, it's not just to give Jonah a little boost of confidence and reminisce on the football days, but what it is I don't care if I have a fast quarterback because Jonah's not a fast quarterback. And your point with Aaron Rodgers is you don't need a Lamar Jackson to run the RPO spread offense. You really don't, because there's so many options out of the option, so-called option offense that it's a simple hand. Like, okay, I'm gonna come up with a quick play. Quarterback behind center. We got the running back on his right. All right. He fakes that option. He holds in. He can either hand that ball off or he pulls. Like, this is a play that I can see Rodgers doing a lot and having great success with. He could pull the ball. Say he pulls it, doesn't give him the handoff. He could pull it and then look to his right, and he can either have a tight end who went out on an out route or a receiver that's coming across the middle, and he can throw out of that. That's what that RPO is. That's what it stands for. It's run pass option. For those of you who do not watch a lot of football, it's a very innovative, new, fresh style of play, and that is why you see so many points getting put up across the board, especially in the NFL. And to run that type of offense in high school, if you have a quarterback who can truly read a defense, that's what you need. I don't need speed. You don't need strength. You don't need throw power. Like, you need simple things like IQ. If they have an IQ,
you can run everything within the first 10 to 15 yards off the line of scrimmage with this offense.
Simple. It's complicated. Like, it can get complicated, but at the end of the day, if you do what Jonah Deemer did and you sit down and watch
up here,
it is. You watch film, you study film, and you look and understand how to read a defense, which can be very complicated. And that's something that I'm trying to get into as a coach, is learning more defensive packages, because to me, defense has always been complicated. But when it comes to the offensive side of the ball, like I just love offense because you can manipulate people. You literally have the full option of manipulation while you're on offense because you can literally tear a defense apart and make them look like clowns. And my next point is, before I let Gannon kind of get into this, because I've been talking a lot, just because this is a passion of mine and I really enjoy this type of offense. For wide receivers, I was a slot receiver growing up. I was a pretty relatively tall for 1A and in the slot. Typically, you see shorter guys in the slot, but I mean, if we're talking in a sense of the NFL or college, then I'm relatively short. But being a 6 foot, 6'1" on a good day in the slot, that's what I was growing up in high school, like 180, 185 pounds. But to me, what I took advantage of playing the receiver position is I didn't want to make plays necessary. I wasn't about the touchdowns. I wasn't about the yards. What I wanted to do was be open, to allow myself to have those opportunities. And so in my offense, what I want to implement is route runners. Like I want a straight group of receivers that do not care about how many yards they're going to get, do not care about touchdowns, do not care about yards, whatever it is. I want them to understand that if you're open, you're going to get the ball because your quarterback's going to survey the field. You could have a guy running a fade route who runs the crispest fade route ever, but he's not open. And then you can have a guy who runs a simple drag route because he's just taking a play off.
It's one-dimensional. That's more one-dimensional right there.
Yeah, for sure. But if a guy runs a drag route and he runs it full go compared to that fade ball, then you're going to hit the drop off instead of the touchdown, the bomb down the sideline. You're going to hit that little drag route. But all in all, it's a quick-paced up and down the field air raid that keeps the defense off balance. So I kind of want to let Gannon talk a little bit more about it, and then I'm going to get into pretty much like all the packages within the spread offense.
Yeah, I mean, obviously this is more Bryce's forte, being the more X and O's, because he's played higher levels of football than I've ever played or ever dreamed of playing. But I'm just going to keep talking about back to the Packers, because that's the most football I watch. And the biggest thing is right now is two players I'm going to focus on here the next couple minutes is Davante Adams and Aaron Jones. Both are hell of stud athletes at their positions, but I honestly believe deep down that if Matt LaFleur did not get here, both of those guys would not be having the success right now with this offense, because Davante Adams is not your down-the-field deep threat like Tyreek Hill is, who can run a 4.3 40. Davante Adams makes a lot of his plays within the first 15 yards off the line of scrimmage, and that goes along with Aaron Rodgers getting the ball in and out of his hands within the first 2 seconds of the play. Because all Davante Adams has to win is right at the line of scrimmage, which he's probably the best, if not the top 3 best, of getting off the line of scrimmage and running a route. And those are just on simple routes within the first down from the 1st to the 10-yard line. Same thing with Aaron Jones. Aaron Jones is set up to be probably a top 3 paid running back here in the free agency. It hurts to say that because more likely he will not be leaving he'll be leaving the Packers. But if he was not in this great of an offense and how it's ran, I don't think he'd be in the NFL right now, because he is not just a tackle. You're still going to have your prototype running backs with Derrick Henry that are going to still be successful. Same with some of the pocket passers with Big Ben and Phillip Rivers, even though he just retired. But this is creating a lot more opportunities.
Hold up. Let's talk about that quick. You bring up a good point. I know we're talking about the spread offense, but let's talk about Phillip Rivers. Let's analyze that situation. Just off topic.
One second. Well, let me finish this point real quick.
All right.
And then we can dig into that, because the same thing with Aaron Jones. He is not a tackle back that goes in between the tackles every time. He is the best when he's on the outside and getting a ball in his hands quick. A lot of these people are going to get paid, and it's the same way with the quarterbacks. The draft evaluations, there's a lot more people getting looks higher up in the draft just because of if you have a good coaching format and schematics going into this, it's going to help the players get paid, because Aaron Jones would not be getting paid if he was just a tackle back, because he went to UTEP, University of Texas, El Paso. I don't think that Davante Adams and Aaron Jones would be top 5 in their positions right now if it was not for the good RPO options, because it gets everybody involved quicker. And it's not your traditional offense. You're having a lot more different looking people in your offense. I mean, just same thing with Cole Beasley out in Buffalo. Cole Beasley was not, a Pro Bowler type wide receiver at the Cowboys. He was good, but he's gone to another level because it's a good offense with a good quarterback. And like we said, it's not easy. You got to have the right coaching staff and the right quarterback who's smart in between his ears to run the stuff. But if you can do it, you're going to score a lot of points, and you're not going to get beat very much.
Yeah. Well, the problem with the Cole Beasley situation in Dallas was they didn't take advantage of what he had, and it was the end of Dez's, it was the end of Dez's career in Dallas, and Dak started forcing the ball to Dez. But that's a topic for a different day before I start to get mad.
But he went to another level with this offense.
He did. Great receiver. I've always thought he was a great receiver because I love slot receivers. I love them.
And some of those guys would not be getting love and these numbers if it wasn't in the right offense, and that's why this RPO, I think, it's going to take over the league more so the next 5 to 10 years.
Exactly. No, I agree. But you mentioned Phillip Rivers, and that I don't know what it was, but it just made me think about we needed to talk about it for 2 minutes, 3 minutes. I don't think the dude should have retired. I really don't. I mean, what did he get? He just got paid what, a 1-year contract for what, $14 million or more than that?
Oh yeah, it was
$17 million maybe.
I think it was north of 15 mil, to be honest.
It had to be, but I just don't understand that. First off, I never understood why the Colts gave the man that money. I mean, they had a good year, and I think they thought Phillip could get him over the hump. But I love Phillip Rivers, the ambitious firelight atmosphere that he brings to the game. Like he creates an atmosphere, and I'm kind of upset to see him go, quite honestly, along with Drew Brees. But Phillip Rivers, I've always been an admirer of his game because I just think he doesn't get enough credit. Like, he reminds me of Tony Romo, like, not getting enough credit. But I just feel like he has some left in the tank, and I just wanted to mention that.
I mean, it's a good point. And the first thing I'd like to say is, I'm still amazed how the hell he got through his NFL career throwing the ball like that. It's nuts to see that, and everybody knows it, but it's like, how does he do that? It's just something for a side note, but I'm kind of taking it as another approach there. I kind of liked how he went on his own terms. His body's pretty well intact right now. He's got a lot of kids to worry about at home.
Oh yeah.
And he's already got a coaching job, or he's planning on coaching, I think, a local high school team back in his area. And his knows his time was running out, and I'd rather have somebody do that than force it to where it kind of was Drew Brees at the end.
Yeah.
I know Drew Brees went through some injuries and stuff, and that was unfair his last year, but I kind of like somebody going out on his own and maybe cutting it off a year or two early, but they're going out on their own terms. They're not having a career-ending injury decided for them.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I just wanted to bring that up. I mean, I won't miss Phillip Rivers too much, quite honestly, but I'm a fan of the guy. So now I want to bring up pretty much the purpose of the spread offense, like I mentioned, to create those mismatches. And the 4 ways you can install it are starts with the air raid style, which is up and down the field. It's like a 7-on-7 mentality. You're just gunslinging. And that's kind of the mentality that we had in high school, was the air raid style. The second style is the spread option style. Spread option is what you see in the NFL quite often. You see that particularly I'd say you see that with Baltimore Ravens, having Lamar Jackson. You see that with the Kansas City Chiefs, with the weapons that they have, especially at running back now with Clyde Edwards. Hopefully, fingers crossed, he can stay healthy and play in that Super Bowl. I know he was able to play last week, but football game can make you banged up. So we'll see how good he's looking to go into that Super Bowl next week. But the third one is smash mouth spread style, which is it's them inside zone runs that I was talking about. It's up and down the field where you can catch a team off balance with the run. You can catch them off balance with the pass. And you throw in, it's a combination of everything, what it really is. But it relies on that run game to open up the passing lanes. And then the last one is pro-style spread, which is more focused on the NFL and college levels. It's a more developed form of the spread with motions and everything that's more complicated, but we'll get into that at a different date. But I just wanted to mention what those 4 installations are to be able to have that offense. So all in all, the spread offense is usually run in an up-tempo fashion. Quick format of it is really that the purpose of it is to run plays by limiting your huddles. And what a huddle is in football, for the younger crowd that doesn't know what football is, a huddle is where it's the whole team. I mean, I sound dumb saying it, but I feel like it has to be said,
You still got to cover it, yeah.
getting into huddle, your whole team's around you, and that's where the quarterback calls the play. However, you'll see in the NFL and college levels where you see the no huddle. You see it in high school too. You see people try to catch the defense off guard by going on two. Aaron Rodgers does a hell of a job at it, where he gets the defense to come off sides and stuff like that, and gets a 30-yard bomb to DA 17. But that's what I want. I want an up and down, fast-paced offense that goes on no huddle, that is just running and gunning up the field. That's what I want. And we'll get into that at a later date, and I'll actually, when we get down the road and I have some more plays developed. Right now I'm actually working on a playbook. I have a binder full of, I'm at about 12 pages of plays. I've taken some of the stuff I learned in high school and I've put that to use. And when I get to that, I'm going to upload that into Google Docs, and we'll have episodes solely talking more about the spread offense. And I'll share the screen with you guys on Zoom so you can see the plays, the physical copy of the plays that I've written up. That's more so for coaches that watch this to understand kind of my development process of what I've been learning. But all in all, it's a tough offense to formulate because it's compiled complex. Like it's a complex like offense. But I'm excited that I got to talk about it a little bit because I've been waiting to talk offense and stuff like that. But I'll let Gannon say his last couple things, and then I'll tell you what we got on tap for the rest of this week.
Yeah, and I think my final closing thoughts here, I know I'm going to keep hitting the Packers on the head, and it's not just to give the Packers love. It's because they run this offense to the teeth. But these like those four styles that Bryce just mentioned with the air raid, the spread option, the smash mouth, and the pro style. The cool thing about this is that that you could base all of them off the RPO options. And they're also multidimensional because the Packers they can run the ball and do these short 5 to 10 yard addition dunks, whatever the terminology you want to say for it. But that can chew clock, but it can also open up a deep shot down the field where you can score in a hurry. And I think that's the cool thing about this offense. It can be there's multiple ways you can win the football game with this offense. You can do the ground and pound and the short dink and dunks with screens and quick slant routes and chew up the clock and win the time of possession. Also, you look at the Kansas City Chiefs, they can also score in 50 seconds on any possession. I just think there's a lot of variations with this, and it's not one-dimensional when you're only just running the ball or you're just having a pocket passer.
For sure. And I totally forgot about this, but I was texting with one of my friends, Drew Brogy, today, and I shared the tweet with Gannon after we talked. It's a tweet from Barstool Sports, and it said somebody recorded Nick Saban's Zoom recruiting pitch, and it's incredible. So I'm going to play that quick, and then we'll wrap it up after. But I just want to talk about this, and whoever listens to this podcast, I want them to hear what Nick Saban's got to say for recruiting because he's a GOAT, probably the best ever to do it at the college level coaching. So I'm going to play this out loud, and we'll make sure we can hear it. Can you hear it that well? All right, I'll let that be enough. Just a little snippet of it. Check it out at Barstool Sports on Twitter. One thing that really stuck out to me on that was competition makes you better. Now, that's obvious and it's pretty cliche, but at the end of the day, Saban knows what he's done. He knows his track record. He knows the teams that he's put out there, and he's won national championships for it. You can fill up a whole hand with rings. So that's something to look to strive for.
But yeah, just one quick thing, because right when you're cutting it off there, talking about Marlon Humphreys going against Amari Cooper every day at practice. Those guys are getting more out of their own team practices, I think, that they do in their actual games, and that's the really cool part about this. And a lot of those guys have always been the number one option no matter where they've been their whole life, and they might have to sit for a year or two. They'll get some games, they'll play, but they're not always going to be the number one option. And that's going to humble a lot of those guys, and they're either going to make it or break it. And you just see how well-rounded his kids are. And I know there's a little stuff on Twitter that people throw out about there's no extracurricular activities after a bad hit, or some people are trying to get in their heads. They go right back to the huddle. They don't talk crap to the other teammates. He's making him more into a well-rounded man than even just a good football player, and he just gets it done. It's a whole nother level of coaching, and it's cool to see because their practices are more intense than they are than their games, in my opinion.
Yeah, for sure. And like I mentioned the past couple podcasts ago about the Nick Saban book that I've been reading, and I actually finished that book, and the number one word used in that book, I counted about how many times it was used in a 256 page book. The word relentless was used 240 times, and that's what he installs in a team. 240 times the man used the word relentless. How do you think he is in practice? That man is ready. He's ready to win championships. So I just wanted to bring that up. Drew Brogy, shout out to you for sending that to me. I'm glad we could talk about that for a little bit. But so in the upcoming episode, we'll be having an interview with Luke Norman, first-year head coach at Highland Community College. He's the men's head basketball coach for the men's team, which is a Division I JUCO, who has been very successful over the years. I actually happened to graduate from Highland. I was a 2-year student athlete there, played baseball, and I saw firsthand exactly what that basketball team's capable of. So I think it's quite important to get his take on his story and hear a little bit about him. And having many players come to JUCO, they more often than not, when they play on that men's basketball team at Highland, they make it to a Division I team and earn a nice little fat check of a scholarship. And then eventually they end up playing overseas or in some professional capacity. So we are beyond excited to hear Luke's story, especially because his father is a legend, Pete Norman. If you know the man, great guy. Outside of sports, inside of sports, whatever it is, Pete Norman is a guy that can always give you fantastic advice. I mean, he coached the Highland Cougars team for 15 years and is an 815 GOAT. So hearing this story is going to be an inspiration because of his son following in his footsteps. And hopefully it'll be a storied career for Luke too. So I'll let Gannon kind of mention his take on that because I know he helped out with the Highland basketball team growing up. So what's your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I mean, Pete and my dad go way back. I mean, that's one of my dad's best friends since way back in the day because they went to high school together and stuff. But yeah, I started probably helping just little ins and outs stuff. It was about the last year or two that Pete got done coaching in 2008 and 2009. And then I probably was on the bench and helped do stuff for probably 5 or 6 different head coaches. And I still have really great relationships with a lot of players that are still making their living overseas. We're going to talk about that some more in the upcoming episode with Luke because Luke played a year at Highland. He did tear his ACL that year, so he didn't finish the season with them. But the Highland basketball, obviously they just got an upgrade to their facilities, but there's not a whole lot else there that helps them to get people in there other than the winning. And you see the All-Americans up on the wall, and it speaks for itself. But yeah, let's not talk too much about that because we'll get into it the next episode. But yeah, make sure you guys are keep watching, viewing, and subscribing to our YouTube channel, and drop a like and let us know if we can do something different.
Yes, sir. Very grateful that I was able to talk about something I'm passionate about in this episode, and this will be dropping on Monday. So catch us on Monday. Share the hell out of this. Send it to absolutely everybody in your Snapchat until they get annoyed with you and unadd you. Do that. Do it for us. We appreciate you, and we will catch you Friday.